Hello beautiful people, I am Nikki and this is a night of horror where I talk horror movies and sometimes other genres and TV shows. In this video I will be giving you recommendations on the best horror movies coming to streaming in October. You will not have to weed through the available horror movies to find a good spooky season watch because I got you. Some streaming services drop their new watches on October 1st, while others like Netflix and Shudder, for example, will be dropping movies throughout the month of October. Now, I will not mention the big movies that most people know of, like Scream and things like that. First up, we are going to start with Netflix. The Birds from 1963. A wealthy socialite pursues a potential boyfriend to a small town that slowly takes a turn for the bizarre when birds of all kinds suddenly begin to attack people. I was obsessed with this movie when I was a kid. Of course, it is an Alfred Hitchcock classic, so you could say this is one of those big movies like Scream. However, with it being from 1963, I think there is definitely a huge audience of horror movie fans out there who have never seen this movie. So I really wanted to add it to this list. And it's not just good because of the nostalgia, but I will say if this is your first watch, you may not be as enamored with it, but I think it still holds up and it's still a really solid movie. As Above, So Below from 2014, when a team of explorers venture into the catacombs that lie beneath the streets of Paris, they uncover the dark secret that lies within the city of the dead. Y'all know I hate found footage, and if you're new to my channel, I hate found footage. I vividly remember going to the movies to see this and being pissed off because I didn't know it was found footage when I went to see it. I actually hated this movie on first watch, but for some reason on rewatch, I love this movie. I rewatch this movie every year and I'm obsessed. So, you know, the found footage genre for me has spawned only two good movies, and that would also include Incantation from 2022, which is also streaming on Netflix if you have never seen it. Red Dragon from 2002. A retired FBI agent with psychological gifts is assigned to help track down the Tooth Fairy. A mysterious serial killer aiding him is imprisoned forensic psychiatrist Dr. Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter. Now, I kind of feel like the Hannibal franchise, those movies are pretty big, but I don't hear a lot of people talk about anything really outside of Silence of the Lambs, and Red Dragon is such a gem. I think that this is definitely a great October fall spooky season watch. It is definitely more thriller than horror, but Red Dragon absolutely has some really effective horror elements. Psycho and Psycho 2 are coming to Netflix, and I'm really excited because yes, these are huge classic movies, but there's a whole slew of people who have never seen them, including me. I've never had any desire to check them out. I just get the feeling they are way more slowly paced than my taste. But I do believe that if you're a fan of certain genres, you have to watch the iconic films. Psycho from 1960, a secretary on the run for embezzlement takes refuge at a secluded California motel owned by a repressed man and his overbearing mother. Psycho 2 from 1983. After 20 years of psychiatric care, Norman Bates attempts to return to a life of solitude, but the specters of his crimes and his mother continue to haunt him. Lastly, let's get into the Netflix original movies that will be coming in October. And y'all know Netflix originals, hit or miss. Hit, never not in between. They be hit or they be missed. But, you know, we're going to always hold our hope, right, for new horror. Dropping on October 4th, It's What's Inside, a comedy horror mystery thriller about a group of friends who gather for a pre-wedding party that descends into an existential nightmare when an estranged friend arrives with a mysterious game that awakens long-hidden secrets, desires, and grudges. Also dropping on October 4th is Control, a thriller about the perfect influencer couple Nella and Joe when Joe cheats on Nella, she decides to turn to an AI app to erase him from her life until it takes complete control. There are so many AI goes wrong, AI sinister, AI movies, and they never really tread any new territory. And I honestly cannot remember the last really good one I saw. Probably Upgrade, which isn't exactly AI goes wrong, but hey, it's like tech horror technology, so I'm gonna put it in that crew. I am actually really on board for this though, because I personally love the evil AI, even though the movies are typically pretty generic. But on this channel, I am always going to be also up for foreign horror. So I will be set for this, but I will say it irks me so bad when movies or TV shows do the influencer thing and like you can see the characters live streaming and stuff. I hate that. It's so obnoxious and annoying. So the fact that the plot centers on an influencer couple, I already know that we are going to get the proverbial influencer content. That just really makes me cringe, but I'll be here for it. Dropping on October 30th, Time Cut, a slasher horror sci-fi thriller about a high school student who accidentally travels back in time to 2003 and decides to stop the serial killer who murdered her sister. I am not a fan of anything teens or high school. It's just always the same kind of cut and paste high school teen characters and high school tropes. I don't want to sit through obnoxious or angsty teens. And you could say this is very reminiscent of a recent like Back to the Future horror-esque movie that came out recently. I didn't see it, so I can't recall the name. But apparently this one was written and in production and everything before that one. Dropping on October 25th, the Netflix original I am really excited for. Don't Move, a horror thriller that follows a seasoned killer as he injects a grieving woman with a paralytic agent. She must run, fight, and hide before her body shuts down. This is one of my ultimate favorite scenarios. I'm a broken record if you've been on my channel. It never gets old for me. I love an isolated location. I love a fight for your life scenario. And I love the aspect of the ticking clock with this paralytic agent. I hope it is as exciting as I imagine it will be and that they are able to sustain the momentum throughout the runtime. The last Netflix original horror dropping on October 4th, The Platform 2, a sequel to the 2019 original. Now, I have never watched The Platform. I had no desire to. I still have no desire to, because I was told it's a movie about people locked up, like given a bunch of food, and like the lower on the platform, like the worse the food, and you have to like fight and eat. And basically a movie centered on people eating. That is my biggest pet peeve. I don't know if I'm just a weirdo, but I hate watching people eat. Look, don't ask, okay? But the visual of food going into people's mouths, the sound of people eating, it disturbs my soul. It literally makes me want to just fall and like rip my ears out and rip my eyes out. But the synopsis for the sequel says a thrilling physical journey that allows an approach to the darkness where it is scary to look. It appeals to the viewer's civil responsibility and forces them to face the limits of their own solidarity. I'm not sure what that has to do with eating, but now let's get into the best horror movies coming to Tubi. The Skeleton Key from 2005. A hospice nurse working at a spooky New Orleans plantation home finds herself entangled in a mystery involving the house's dark past. This is a movie I constantly talk about and recommend on my channel. I think it is such a great film, and I literally never hear anyone talk about it. We just did a spooky season kickoff live yesterday, and I was so shocked when one of the other panelists mentioned The Skeleton Key. It's like this movie has fallen into obscurity. I never hear anyone talk about this movie. It's so good. If you have never seen it, watch it. You will not be disappointed. I don't want to jump off a ledge or hype it up too much, but I truly consider this movie to be a classic and literally like top 10 of the early 2000s decade. Identity from 2003. Stranded at a desolate Nevada motel during a nasty rainstorm, 10 strangers become acquainted with each other when they realize that they are being killed off one by one. This is another early 2000s gem that I have talked about on my channel before. I do think that after the first watch and the whole whodunit aspect is revealed, I think the rewatch value goes down, but I have rewatched this a few times, like every 50 years, and I think it holds up really well, and I still really enjoy it, and definitely worth the watch if you have never watched it. Coming to Shudder, one of the first horror movies I ever watched, and one of the greatest horror movies of all time that I don't never hear nobody talk about. Demons from 1985. A group of random people are invited to a screening of a mysterious movie, only to find themselves trapped in the theater with ravenous demons. Also, Demons 2 from 1986. A group of tenants and visitors are trapped in a 10-story high-rise apartment building infested with demons who proceed to hunt the dwindling humans down. I watch Demons literally 100 times every year, but I have only watched Demons 2 once. I hated it, but I do plan on rewatching it this month to see if I have a different experience with it. The Devil's Rejects from 2005. The murderous backwoods Firefly family take to the road to escape the vengeful Sheriff Wendell, who is not afraid of being as ruthless as his targets. Now, everyone talks about House of a Thousand Corpses, but I don't ever hear anyone talk about The Devil's Rejects. I actually am not the biggest fan of Rob Zombie's films. His style just isn't my cup of tea, and I really didn't like House of a Thousand Corpses, but I loved Devil's Rejects. I actually just talked about it when I was my KillerCon horror panel Saturday, when I was talking about great horror opening sequences. The Exorcist 3 from 1990. A police lieutenant uncovers more than he bargained for as he investigates a series of murders which have all the hallmarks of the deceased. Gemini serial killer leads him to question the patience of a psychiatric ward. In my humble opinion, this is a sequel that surpasses the original, and it has one of the most iconic jump scares of all time. Now, y'all know I go up for foreign horror, and Japanese horror might be at the very top for me. Audition from 1999. A widower takes an offer to screen girls at a special audition arranged for him by a friend to find him a new wife. The one he fancies is not who she appears to be after all. Now, I haven't seen this in ages, so much so that I can honestly barely remember the movie. Like, it's been ages. So I feel like it's going to feel like a first time watch. Am I the only person with like... Sometimes my memory is so bad with movies, especially ones that I haven't watched in ages, that when I rewatch them, it literally feels like first time watches. The entire Friday the 13th collection will be dropping on Shudder. And of course, that's like a huge franchise, and I said I wasn't mentioning the big movies, but I know people go up for Friday the 13th, and that will be a lot of people's Halloween binge franchise, so I wanted to add that to the video. Now, some new 2024 movies dropping on Shudder. Mads, a teenager who stops off to see his dealer to test a new drug before heading off for a night of partying. On the way home, he picks up an injured woman and the night takes a surreal turn. I don't know if I'm just old, but I'm so over horror revolving around teens. Daddy's Head. A boy and his stepmother fear for their safety after an eerie creature resembling the boy's recently deceased father visits them. And the last new release is Azrael. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. In a world where no one speaks, a devout female-led community hunts down a young woman who has escaped imprisonment. Recaptured, Azrael is due to be sacrificed to an ancient evil in the wilderness. I just feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. But fights for her own survival. I am partially hyped because y'all know I love fighting for your life, fighting for survival. But a world where no one speaks, it takes a lot for movies like that to be done right. So we'll see. Movies coming to Hulu. If you're like me and you enjoy bad horror movies, so bad it's good, entertaining horror movies, Hulu has quite the gem coming in October. The Curse of La Llorona. Put some respect on this movie. The Curse of La Llorona from 2019, ignoring the eerie warning of a troubled mother suspected of child endangerment. A social worker and her own small kids are soon drawn into a frightening supernatural realm. I honestly don't think it's like this movie is bad. Yes, it's generic and mediocre, but I have a lot of fun with this movie. Fright Night 2011, of course a remake of the vastly popular 1985 film, but I don't really hear people go up for the 2011 remake, and I think this was actually a really solid remake, and I know I have a very unpopular opinion that I prefer this over the original, but even if you don't prefer it, I think it is just grossly unpopular, and people need to be checking for this, okay? Rest in peace, Antoine Yelchin, okay? Now, the 2006 and 2007, The Hills Have Eyes and The Hills Have Eyes 2 remakes are coming to Hulu. Of course, The Hills Have Eyes 2006 is like one of the greatest remakes, one of the greatest movies of the early 2000s. But the one that I don't ever hear anyone talk about is The Hills Have Eyes 2. The Hills Have Eyes 2 from 2007, a group of National Guard trainees find themselves battling against a vicious group of mutants on their last day of training in the desert. This sequel is definitely the more B-movie version. However, I don't think this sequel gets enough love. I think it is actually a good, solid movie, and outside of the explicit SA scenes, in both movies, I have a lot of fun with this sequel. Like, y'all, give it a watch. It's good. Is it as good as the 2006 original? No. But it's a solid, good, enjoyable movie. Joyride from 2001. Three young people on a road trip talk to a trucker on the CB radio, then must escape when he turns out to be a psychopathic killer. Another hidden gem and early 2000s masterpiece that I have talked about on my channel before. And last up, the new Hulu original movie dropping October 11th, Mr. Crockett. A mother embarks on a perilous quest to rescue her son from a demonic children's show host who is kidnapping kids. I am so hyped for this. First off, black horror, which we don't get a lot of, and black horror with a plot not centered on racism or slavery or being in the hood. I already love this movie, and I just hope it doesn't disappoint. Now we're going to get into Pluto TV. Night of the Creeps from 1986. Teens fight against alien brain parasites who enter humans through the mouth and turn their host into a killing zombie. The Resident Evil franchise is dropping on Pluto. Please tell me I am not the only person who loves this franchise. Obviously, this is a popular one, but I'm hyped that the whole franchise is dropping. The Ruins from 2008. A Mexican holiday takes a turn for the worse when a group of friends and a fellow tourist embark on a remote dig in the jungle where something evil lives among the ruins. Y'all gotta stop sleeping on the early 2000s, okay? It was a great decade for horror. Vacancy from 2007. Stranded in an isolated motel, a couple becomes the unsuspecting subjects of a snuff film. Isolated, fighting for your life, y'all already know. Coming to Peacock, Arachnophobia from 1990. A new species of South American killer spider hitches a lift to a California town in a coffin and starts to breed, leaving a trail of deaths. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark from 2010. A young girl sent to live with her father and his new girlfriend believes that she has released creatures from a sealed ash pit in the basement of her new home. I mentioned this movie on KillerCon when I was talking about great horror openings and great horror endings. Nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. Apparently don't nobody know this movie. It's Guillermo del Toro. Watch it. It's good, okay? I Saw the Devil from 2010. A secret agent exacts revenge on a serial killer through a series of capture and releases. This is a Korean thriller horror that both enraged me, disturbed me, and ended up being one of the greatest movies I have ever seen in my life. The Purge Election Year, and The Purge Anarchy. I cannot be the only person who loves the Purge franchise. Tell me I'm not alone here. Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2 from 2007 and 2009. Now, these are pretty popular movies, but I'm adding them to the list because I have never seen these two movies, so I'm excited to get a watch of these, and I just thought they were good to add to the list. If maybe you have avoided the Rob Zombie movies, we can just watch them together and, you know, maybe love them, maybe be in misery. White Noise from 2005, an architect's desire to speak with his wife from beyond the grave becomes an obsession with supernatural repercussions. The reoccurring theme of me not remembering movies I've seen once continues. I know I watched this back in the day when it came out. I know I loved it, but I've never rewatched it, and I do not remember the movie at all. But look, cut me some slack, okay? Cut my memory some slack because I'm damn near 40 and I saw this in a high school. HBO is launching their No Sleep October with a huge horror movie collection this month. Let's get into the notable movies that will be dropping. Dropping October 3rd, Salem's Lot, the remake of the 2004 miniseries. Ben returns to his childhood home of Jerusalem's Lot in search of inspiration for his new book, only to discover his hometown is being preyed upon by a bloodthirsty vampire. Dropping on October 10th, Caddo Lake. Did I say that right? When an 8-year-old girl disappears on Caddo Lake, a series of past deaths and disappearances begin to link together, altering a broken family's history. More thriller than horror. I am really interested in this one because it stars that kid from the Maze Runner movies. And them movies had me in the chokehold. The new movie Maxine will be premiering on October 18th, the third in the X trilogy. In 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress Maxine Minks finally gets her big break. But as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Hollywood, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past. Obviously, the X franchise is a really big franchise, really hyped, and I don't get the hype, but I thought I would add this because I didn't hear folks really talk about this for very long. I feel like it came and it went, but it's a new movie coming to HBO that I really want to check out because, you know, I'm not the biggest fan, but I want to watch it. Also, the new M. Night movie Trap will be premiering on October 25th. When I did my review on Trap, I thought I was literally the only person on planet Earth that enjoyed this movie, but it seems that people are split. Either they love it or they hate it. They are dropping a ton of horror on HBO, and they're dropping like a small Stephen King collection. Why y'all ain't include 2006 Desperation? I love that little stupid movie, and I never see it streaming anywhere. The final streaming service I will cover is Paramount Plus. Antlers from 2021. In an isolated Oregon town, a teacher and her sheriff brother become embroiled with her enigmatic student whose dark secrets lead to terrifying encounters with an ancestral creature. I did a video on this movie my first year on YouTube, and I am so shocked how many people don't like this movie. I swear, sometimes I be like, do other people have bad taste or do I? Because I go up for this movie. I was so blown away and in love with this movie when I first saw it, and I still love it. Yes, it's flawed. No, it's not perfect, but overall, I love this freaking movie. I love the atmosphere of this movie, and it's perfect for fall spooky season watch. Gothica from 2003, a psychiatrist awakens as a patient in a mental institution with no memory of the murder she is accused of committing. My first year on YouTube, I had someone comment that they would never take me seriously. They would never listen to my opinion and that I'm an idiot because I actually think Halle Berry can act. I'll never forget that. The Green Inferno from 2013, a group of student activists travel to the Amazon to save the rainforest and soon discover that they are not alone. I swear, Elle Roth is the absolute worst at writing dialogue and creating likable characters. But if you're able to look past that, I enjoyed this one and definitely think it is worth the watch for spooky season. Stir of Echoes from 1999. After being hypnotized by his sister-in-law, a man begins seeing haunting visions of a girl's ghost, and a mystery begins to unfold around him. I had no idea until I grew up that apparently me and my mother were like the only people in the world that saw Stir of Echoes in 1999. Classic movie. Willard from 2003, a young man with an unusual connection to rats uses them at his own psychopathic will sociopathic will. And that is my list of the best horror coming to streaming in October. Please make sure you like this video, drop down in the comments and let me know what movies will you be adding to your spooky season watch list.
Goodbye. Goodbye.